Defense, defense, defense. Highlight day 4 of Houston Texans training camp.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers, to this Tuesday episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you to all of our first-time listeners and viewers. Do us a favor, please subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texan podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you to all of our returning listeners, our everydayers coming back to listen to Cody and myself talk Texans. I'm your Texans football analyst, John Some Sports Guy Hickman. On the other side of the screen, Texans credentialed media member, Sports Illustrated's own Cody Davis. Guys, day 4 of training camp. No pads yet. However, you got Petrie playing nickel. You got Jeff Okuda on a redemption tour. You got the defense dominating the day. So, Cody, take us away.
Yes, sir. Day 4 of Houston Texans training camp was literally all about the defense. John, listeners and viewers, you guys already know how I do it. If this was a game, I think we would be sitting here talking about one of the best defensive performances that we have seen in a long time from this franchise. And I say in a long time because I think you probably got to go all the way back to prime J.J. Watt to see a defensive performance that was this dominant. If this was a game, I would say that the Houston Texans would have recorded somewhere in the ballpark of 6 to 7 sacks. Will Anderson Jr. had about 2.5 to 3 by himself alone. About 2 to 3 interceptions. John, you talk about the redemption tour that Jeff Okuda has been on. I must say he was one of the 2 defensive backs to come away with an interception. Of course, that quarterback was Davis Mills. However, Kalen Bullock, who for the very first time, at least from what I was able to see, is starting to get some run with the first team. He had an opportunity to record an interception from quarterback C.J. Stroud. And you talking about all 3 levels, making plays on the ball. The Houston Texans defense came away, finished the day with about 5 to 6 pass deflections. Once again, Will Anderson Jr. had about 2 on it, two by himself. Jerry Hughes had a pass deflection. And John, listeners and viewers, I know a lot of us were starting to get a little bit concerned when you look at the defensive line. You know the defensive end is taken care of. However, we had some concerns of what that rotation was going to look like when you look at the interior. However, Derek Burnett, Khalil Davis, who finally came back after dealing with an injury, Tim Settle, and Mario Edward, all 4 of those guys look damn good playing, being on that rotational spot, playing from the first, the second, and the third team for the interior defensive line. It was an overall terrific day for the Houston Texans defense.
I think when you look at it, right, as you're watching it live, you see, right, the defense made a few plays, but we always go back and watch the tape and see, right, I always tell you never know really what happened until you watch the tape and get a true understanding. But defense made some plays, offense made plays. There's been a lot of back and forth, and that's the makings of a good team. You want it to be back and forth. You don't want practice to be lopsided every single day, and it's been that way for us. Offense has had some days, defense have had some days, so I'm encouraged by both sides having their good.
It's always good to hear D'Amico Ryans highlight the defensive side of the ball. This team has been highlighted about offense all offseason. Stephon Diggs, year 2 of C.J. Stroud, the addition of Joe Mixon. It's been all offense, even with the big signing of Danielle Hunter. Offense have overshadowed the defense in a way. So to hear that the defense had a dominating day 4, which is good to get a rhythm before they go into pads later today, Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
It's good to hear that. What I like that what you mentioned about Mario Edwards, he's a sneaky guy at that D tackle position. I think he's a somewhat of a version of Danico Autry. Can play inside, can play out, but you definitely want to see him on the inside, all things considered, with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Jerry Hughes is back. Talking about the D tackle position, because I think that has been somewhat of a concern for many of our listeners, many of the people that follow us on social media, what's going to happen with that last starting D tackle role. And I've been on record by saying I think it's going to be a rotational job between several guys. Tim Settle, Mario Edwards, Foley Fatukauzi, and Khalil Davis back in practice. That's great news. However, one of the other concerns has been who's going to be starting opposite side of Derek Stingley Jr. We've got some good words. You've got Derek Stingley speaking highly of Kamari Lassiter. So that's a good thing, saying he doesn't remember anyone getting a catch on Kamari Lassiter. Kamari had a good day. Rookie, 42nd overall pick. He had a good day for the Houston Texans.
Look, let me just say this. That's no longer a concern, John. And I understand we started off this show finally for the second day in a row giving Jeff Okuda some praise, but it's no longer a concern. It's not too early. First of all, let me just say this. There's been moments where you can say, okay, that is still a rookie out there on the field. Plain and simple. I mean, there was moments
Nico the other day.
That's what I was going to say.
Nico made it
Nico, John Mechie, Stephon Diggs at times, Tank Dell. I mean, all of your top receivers, there's been moments where they put them in a blender. However, John, dating all the way back to voluntary OTAs, not mandatory OTAs, not mandatory meaning voluntary OTAs, this young man continues to showcase why the Houston Texans made him their top overall selection in the second round during the 2024 draft. This young man continues to prove, forget what my 40 time was. I am, and I will always be one of the best defensive backs to come out of this year's draft. Here is what Coach DeMeco Ryans had to say about Kamari Lassiter's evaluation, especially during day 4.
Kamari is showing up every day. He's quiet, but he's locked in, focused, intense, and you don't notice him much because he's always doing his job. He's always where he should be. He's always in position. He's always doing what we ask him to do. And as a rookie, that says a lot for a young guy to come in and not be noticed a lot for doing something negative. But everything has been positive with Kamari. He's exactly the guy we saw from the Georgia film, like dialed in. A lot of people call him a dog. He's a dog. He's locked in, and it'll show up even more, I think, once we get the pads on. Just remember the Georgia tape, how physical he was when it came to tackling. So encouraged with where he is, starting out such a young career, where he is right now in training camp, what he did at OTAs. I think he'll continue to ascend and get better.
Those are some very encouraging words from DeMeco Ryans. And one of these days, man, we got to hear from Dino Vasso. Just to see, what are some of the growing pains that Kamari experienced when he got to the NFL, when he got to Houston, that he's seeing improvement from. It's an everyday learning curve for him. I still think there's some competition for CB2, no doubt about it, in my eyes. But to hear that, I think is promising. I know, Cody. I know. And by the way, let me clarify. I wasn't out there today. Cody was out there today. So his 4 eyes saw things that my 4 eyes didn't see. I got my glasses right here. So I understand. I still think it's a competition. Luckily, Houston has 4 preseason games this year to get a good look at the entire cornerback room, and of course, other positions as well. But it's always encouraging and a bright spot to hear that a rookie is doing well, especially in a unit that needs that player to do well, to kind of exceed any expectations others may have had about him. So shout out to Kamari Lassiter, who, by the way, loves his mom. His mom loves him. Mama, what's up, Mama Lassiter? What's going on?
Look, I love what Coach DeMeco Ryans said. He is exactly what we saw on the Georgia film, and that is AKA the locksmith. And there are several highlights that we could choose from day 4 of training camp. If you ask me, John, with the exception of Will Anderson Jr., who dominated on the defensive line. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the second segment. We look at the growing pains for Blake Fisher, but Kamari Lassiter, man, in my opinion, might have been, if he wasn't the best defensive player to take the field on Monday, he was the second best, plain and simple. And the one thing that I would say about Kamari Lassiter is he had several highlights that you can choose from. But once again, I believe this is the third, maybe the fourth time, dating all the way back to voluntary OTAs, that he stepped up to the competition. He stepped up to the challenge of defending the likes of Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, John Mechie. And just like what we said earlier before I played that clip, yes, there are moments where, he'll get put in the blender by one of those 4 wide receivers. There was moments where, Xavier Hutchinson was able to get a catch on him, dated all the way back to OTAs. But the one thing that I love about him, it doesn't matter what took place during the previous play. He's going to make sure that he shake that off, and he's going to make sure that he continues to give the Houston Texans what they need, and that is a second best corner, which 4 days in the training camp, I don't know if you agree, John, but I would give him that title as the second best cornerback. And of course, the biggest highlight, forget the pass blocks, forget the sacks, forget the interceptions. The biggest play for me was one-on-one with Stephon Diggs. CJ Stroud is your quarterback, and he was the one to record that pass breakup. And by the way, that's saying a lot, because the connection between CJ and Stephon Diggs is already there. It's going to be one of the best. It's going to be one of the best connections for this entire league. But the fact that Kamari Lassiter has several moments of breaking the connection up between those two guys says a lot for what he could be, not only for the Houston Texans, but for his career moving forward.
Yeah, it's good to hear that, man. When on the other side of the break, we go from one rookie to the next. We go from 42 to 59. Cody had an amazing opportunity to speak with offensive tackle rookie Blake Fisher. You guys want to stick around for that. More Locked On Texans podcast on the way. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, guys. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professional for your team faster and for free. I wonder if the Houston Texans used them when scouting Kamari Lassiter. He may be the right guy for the job. But in all seriousness, LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you find and hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who are not actively searching for a new job, but maybe open to the perfect role, right? So any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. And on LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. And for some of the small businesses out there, we know that you guys are wearing a lot of hats. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process easier and faster. Come on now. Check out LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to this Tuesday installment of Locked On Texans. The fans going to be out later today, so if you listen to this podcast before the start of training camp, give me a holler, because I will definitely be at training camp, as you guys know. But as great as the defense looked for the second consecutive day, the Houston Texans offense did not look so well. For the second consecutive day, we saw a frustrated CJ Stroud, so much so that at one point he called his entire wide receiving core in a brief but quick huddle to try to get everybody on one accord, John. And look, I'm not about to go too much into all of this, because look, at the end of the day, it's training camp. Like Coach D'Amico Ryan say, you want to see that back and forth, because remember, the first 2 days of training camp, came on his show talking about how several guys on the offensive side of the ball look, and now the next 2 days, we're highlighting the defense. So I think overall, the 2024 season, as we all expected, the Houston Texans will look damn good on both sides of the ball. However, the offensive line is part of the reason why the Texans struggled against the defense, and it's not the whole entire offensive line. Look, Titus Howard, he has had his moments where he looked like the Titus Howard we all loved during the first 4 or 5 years of his career. However, there are moments where we still saying, oh, okay, he's still trying to get back in game shape. The interior has looked good. However, I think the weakest spot, the weakest leak of this offensive line so far has been at left tackle. You know, I'm not talking about Larry Tunsil because he has yet to dress out. He's still recovering from his knee procedure that he had during the offseason. However, he is still projected and is still on track to be ready for the start of the regular season. Larry Tunsil, you already know he's going to do his work, so you don't really got to worry about that. But the one thing about having Larry Tunsil out is the fact that they gave rookie offensive tackle Blake Fisher an opportunity to get some reps. And even though he had his moments where he looked shaky, where he doesn't look so good, I love the fact that Blake Fisher is struggling this early in his career during training camp. Because, John, I would say that Will Anderson Jr., even though he has given that young man some problems during the first 4 days, Lord have mercy, what he had that boy going through on Monday was unfair.
You know what's funny? Blake Fisher is going to experience what Kenyon Green experienced in his rookie year during that gauntlet period of him going up against the best D tackles in the NFL. You got Will Anderson, you got a block, you got Danielle Hunter, who I'm curious to see where he's going to land on the NFL top 100 list, right? I'm curious to see where Will may land on his top 100 list. He's going up against some of the cream of the crop in Danielle Hunter. Right, I think Will be there by the end of this season, but he's getting this on the fly at practice, so that's good for him.
But before we hear from Blake Fisher, I do want you guys to listen to what Coach D'Amico Ryans had to say about the early struggles that Blake Fisher is going up against as of right now, especially considering how beneficial this could be for him. Two-part question here. One, what's been your early evaluation of Blake Fisher? And two, with Larry Tunsil, how beneficial is it for a young rookie like himself to get those early reps going up against like a Will Anderson Jr.?
It's really been an advantage for Blake, for Laramie being out and Blake having to get in there, all right, and learn on the fly. Like, it's really been very beneficial. It's an advantage to him because the more reps you get, the better you get, right? And Blake is going against Will. He's going against Danielle. So, I mean, all those guys are getting better up front. You talk about Blake, Titus, our entire offensive line, defensive line, the way they work. That's the hardest thing to do when you're trying to practice in a safe manner, right? The O-line and D-line, there's some give and take there, but they have to work their craft and get better. And I think both sides of the ball has done a really good job of, iron sharpening iron, really challenging each other. So I'm very pleased with the way our O-line and D-line has been working.
John, I love the way you put it earlier, saying that what Blake Fisher is going through is similar to what Kenyon Green went through during his rookie season. However, what I would say is at least Blake Fisher is going through it, one, during training camp, and two, he's going through it with teammates that actually care about him, not somebody that's just, beating him to the ground in the middle of a regular season game.
It's funny because really, I think how many of those D tackles got contract extensions after that year?
I think all of them.
They probably
every single one of them.
I think Payne, did Jonathan Allen get one? I think Dexter Lawrence got one.
Yep.
So it wasn't nothing friendly going on about that. They needed their money. You was in the way of it. Kenyon Green was in the way of it. So that was a great learning experience for him. We can't wait to see him back out there. And I think it's a great learning experience for Blake Fisher, who we don't want to see him out there too early, but when it's his time, we don't know when that'll be. Hopefully what he's going through now will prepare him for that.
And that's something that I had an opportunity to talk to Blake Fisher about, and this is what he had to say. Blake, can you just start by just talking about, how these first 4 days of training camp has been for you as a rookie?
Yeah, it's been exciting just to be able to get back out here, do my thing, put the pads on tomorrow, just get back in the groove of playing football again, so it's fun.
How excited are you to finally, put on, let's say, the professional NFL type of pads in your first go-around at training camp?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. At the end of the day, I'm just playing ball, just at the highest level possible. So just trying to come out here every day and be my best.
How would you best evaluate your performance so far through these first couple of days?
I feel like every day, I'm just coming out here trying to improve 1% better every day. Trying to talk to the vets, the older guys, even the defensive linemen. Just having them critique me on different things, what they're seeing that I'm doing that I can better myself on, and ways that I can help them improve as well.
Through these first couple of days, I've seen you go up against the likes of Danielle Hunter, but more importantly, Will Anderson Jr. What has it been like going up and getting those one-on-one reps against them?
Yeah, it's been great. Two really good dudes, two powerful dudes. They got some finesse. Been in the league. Danielle's been in the league for a little while. Will going into his second year, so it's cool to be able to go up against Will, ask him, some questions about, things he saw in his rookie year, that helped him, things he's trying to do differently now, and then, the ways in which that, I can help better myself, going up against him and things that he's seeing that I'm giving him that can help me be better.
The one thing I know about, this team, especially having an opportunity to get to know and cover Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard is that the fact that they love helping the young guys. What has it been like for you to get that, finally have an opportunity to learn from them, two established guys, especially Laramie Tunsil, who have, established themselves in the league?
Yeah, it's great. You have two vets. They really love the game, really care about the game. They've been doing it, for a long time, doing it at a high level for a long time too. So being able to have those guys to be able to look at, watch on film, ask questions, what did you see? What can I do differently? How can I be better? And the willingness of those guys, Titus, LT, to, jump and, try and help, whichever way they can.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Last question before I let you go. I know it's still early, but do you have like a favorite moment of training camp as of right now? Something that transpired that, made you say, man, I made it or something?
Yeah. I would just say, man, it's just a blessing. It's just a blessing to be here, overall. I wouldn't say there's one real moment, but I'm just blessed to have this opportunity to, to play at the highest level. Be around this group of guys that we have here, within the offensive line room. I would just say that, just the camaraderie of the guys, it's a blessing to have this opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Listen, guys, sports are almost back. We almost got Texans football. We got training camp, preseason, Hall of Fame game is coming up soon, and that will, in my eyes, officially kick off the NFL season. So while we are waiting on the NFL season to get here, and college, and some NBA, we know sports are not really sporting right now like a lot of us may want them to. However, while we're waiting, FanDuel lets us keep the sports betting going whenever we want to. All we have to do is open the app and dream up big bets anytime we're in the mood. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer before summer ends, right? We got school coming back. Some of us got to go back to work. Make the most out of it. Make sure you check out FanDuel.com. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to this Tuesday installment of Locked On Texans. Today marks the 5th day of training camp for your Houston Texans. However, it also marks the 2nd day of training camp for Cam Akers, the new running back that the Houston Texans added late Sunday afternoon, first reported by Aaron Wilson.
Remember, we were out there Saturday. We were looking to the sky like, who is that working out over there? Houston must be bringing in somebody. Never dawned on us that it would have been Cam Akers or a running back in general. Honestly, Joe Mixon has missed the last 2 days of camp.
2 days.
2 days of camp. There's no worry in the building right now, so you guys are good. No need to get hysterical. But I do think it's good for Houston to add to that room to get a full evaluation of everybody before the start of the regular season. What I do like about Cam Akers is something that I had concerns about with both Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce dating back to last year, and he is an effective back when he is healthy on third downs or just short downs. So if you're looking at 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 1, going back to 2022 where he had an opportunity to really showcase what he can do on yards to go from 1 to 3, he averaged 5.2 yards per carry. On 3rd and 1 to 3, he averaged 7 yards per carry. So that's something that I think will benefit in Houston's favor if he does actually make the 53-man roster. And I think that we're looking at some more competition added to that RB3 role and potentially the RB2 role, depending on, and I know he's a fan favorite, but just depending on how Dameon Pierce turns out in preseason, right? I know a lot of us want him to make this team. I believe that he's going to make this team. I also feel like he's going to have a good role for special teams on return. But Cam Akers does share some of the Shanahan tree philosophy playing in that system for the Rams. Again, he's good on short downs. He's only 25 years old. He could be good for Houston if he is healthy, and that has been a huge question mark for him in his career.
I mean, the young man has had not one but two Achilles tendon tear. First of all, kudos for him from still having a career, because one can like damage your career, but to try to overcome from two, that's
us normal humans would have been like, I'm done.
I'm done.
I played long enough for the NFL to get my little pension or whatever it is. But I'm done. I'm walking away.
But Achilles. Shout out to him, man, for still, trying to make sure that he kept his NFL career going on. But what I would say, Coach D'Amico Ryan spoke briefly about the addition of Akers when he was asked about it. He just said they just brought him in to see if he could compete, plain and simple. And he left it like that. So we'll see if Cam Akers can shake up this running back unit. But John, as I alluded to on yesterday's show, man, this running back unit, it's a stiff competition. You got British Brooks, you got Gerard Jordan, you got Darrell Gumbawale. I mean, those three guys have looked good. JJ Taylor, I'm always forgetting about him, so I apologize to you all. But even when you take a look at the last 2 days that Joe Mixon wasn't there, Dameon Pierce looked like he is getting back to that explosive player that we saw in 2022. And look, today is definitely going to tell for Dameon Pierce, because the pads are going to come on for the very first time today. So we're definitely
which is an advantage for him. It should be an advantage for him.
Definitely an advantage for him. And by the way, I would say, talking about the offensive line, looking at Kenyon Green, Drew Scruggs, and Shaq Mason, that interior, they have already started to create holes for that rushing attack. And once again, I cannot wait to see once things get kicked up to the next level for practice. Yeah. I can't wait, because it seems like that they are definitely going to help this rushing attack by far. But once again, man, shout out to Cam Akers, and man, we'll see what happens with him.
In a corresponding move, Houston signed Cam Akers. Unfortunately, the news that hurt Cody and I and myself, the Houston Texans waived release wide receiver Jared Wayne. So really, really wanted to see him compete. Hopefully there's room to bring him back in some form or fashion. Practice squad is always an option.
He'll find another home.
If he doesn't come back, hopefully he does find another home. I know he's from Canada, right?
Yeah, he's from Canada. Hey,
it's a team.
Go to Detroit.
Go to Detroit. You can go to New England. Y'all are gonna be laughing in a couple of weeks when we bring that Detroit back up. But you can always go to New England. They need receivers. I'm fighting the urge to say we need receivers, because right now I'm covering the Houston Texans, your team every day. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to follow, subscribe, and like. Got any questions? We will do, it has been a while, get back to the comments this week. So if you got any questions or want to get out anything, fans will be out there later today. So whatever you guys are seeing, drop them in the comment section on YouTube and we'll get to them. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12.
And as always, I'm your host, Cody M. Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at CodyDavis_24. Once again, that's Cody, CotyDavis _24. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.